and welcome to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
We welcome you to Talk of the Town for this Thursday, August the 6th. I'm Gary Stevens. We will have a vigorous show today. A little bit of open line time, although I do want to bring up something that Dr. Tom Burns mentioned yesterday. We didn't have a chance to talk about it. I'd like to get some of your thoughts on the statement, and I'll play the statement that Dr. Burns mentioned yesterday during our open line segment after the 10 o'clock news block. Patty Vanderberg will join us in about an hour with what's new around Holland. We'll get an update from the city of Holland's director of human resources, Esther Pafalski, talking about the census. And it's going to be a little less time for you to fill out the census if you have not done so already. And then we'll have Wellspring from Spectrum Health Zealand Community Hospital. But on this first Thursday of the month, our first half hour is devoted to the city of Holland with the city manager, Keith Van Beek, on the other side of our Zoom connection. Keith, good morning and welcome back to Talk of the Town.
Good morning. It's great to be here, Gary. And I understand you had a vacation last week. Are you just feeling great and primed and ready to go?
I don't know about feeling great and prime, but at least, it was a staycation. Let's just say we paid some bills.
There you go.
But we took care of some things, and glad to be back in the saddle and back to be able to chat with you and to have our listeners chat with you as well by calling 395-1450. 395-1450. Keith, I'm going to start right off the bat with something I was discussing in our newscast yesterday, and First Ward Councilman Mike Trethewey, who's an avid listener of this particular program, and we appreciate his expertise from time to time. The issue of adjusting and amending the city's anti-discrimination ordinance involving housing and employment to include the LGBTQ plus IA community was to be decided under normal circumstances. First reading on the 15th. 2 weeks later, it would land yesterday, last night's meeting, but it was postponed for 2 additional weeks. Mike told us why. I'd like for you to tell our listeners why the council is holding off before making a final decision on this matter.
Yeah, so last night, kind of like along your lines, Gary, where people still are having vacations or at least staycations, we had one of our council members, Quincy Bird, that had planned to not be here last night. And he requested, and all of council very quickly agreed that this would be something that they wanted a full contingent of council there and voting on this matter. So while we had it on the agenda last night, it was quickly tabled until our next meeting on August 19th. So that is what we figured would happen last night, and that is what happened last night.
It is a sensitive topic. It was addressed back in 2011 by, for a certain extent, an entirely different council. Only 3 members then are still on the council now, a different city manager at the time, and it went down to defeat on a 5-4 margin. It was brought back up in January. It was it was sort of like a casualty to a certain extent of the COVID-19 situation, so there was some delays before it was brought up. Talk about the difficulties in approaching this particular subject, because there are a lot of emotions involved with it, but also there's a lot of legal things that needed to be cleared up, not only with your staff, but also with Ron Vanderveen, who's the city attorney.
Yeah, so the motion that council made back, I forget even if it was the end of December or the beginning of January, somewhere in there, was that they directed City Attorney Vanderveen and myself to come back and investigate a variety of options. And what I appreciate is without recommendation. The city manager's job more often than not is to make recommendations on different things. And because this is a sensitive topic and a lot of different views, I think it was helpful where Ron and I could just dig into this and kind of take a look at it from different perspectives and propose something for council to consider. So what we did is we've done that. And we took a model ordinance from the Michigan Department of Civil Rights that other communities have taken a look at. And from our perspective, the city attorney and myself, what we did is that we're not creating any new law in this ordinance. Basically, we're modeling it after what various rights and discrimination protections already exist under federal and state law, and basically codify that in this ordinance. And it's also important to note that everything as far as constitutional or state rights that people have for religious liberty is and freedoms is one of those things in there, also fully exists in this ordinance as it does under federal and state law.
Now, let me move ahead a little bit for a second on this particular matter. It was tabled last night. It will be brought up again in 2 weeks, so we're looking at the
19th.
The 19th, okay. Between now and the 19th, there will probably be some public input in this particular matter. How can people get their thoughts to council, especially ahead of the meeting on the 19th?
Yes, I think we've taken a really innovative approach, not just on this, but for all of the things that council is responsible for, and yet having that transparency and the opportunity for the public to comment. So while we've continued to have in-person meetings with council, there are limits on the number of people that we can have in council chambers because of the social physical distancing. So what we've done, and we think has worked really well, is anyone can make public comment to a particular email. It's public comment, and I'm just going to mention to people there's 2 C's in there. There's a C at the end of public, and there's a C at the beginning of public, or of comment. So public comment at cityofholland.com. And we really are encouraging that people then can make their views known. What happens is we gather all of those up, we make it part of the agenda packet, so that not only do council see and read and formally receive and file those at all of our meetings, but they're also part of the packet. So anyone that's interested in reading all those public comments can go to our agenda packets and they can see all those comments there. We think that's been a really good thing, and quite frankly, a lot of those public comments take longer than 3 minutes or 5 minutes to read, which is a typical limitation on public comment if you come to our meetings. So, I think it's really worked well, and it's a way for people to make their voices known.
And making voices known at the 19th will still be a case of, can they still come to council chambers and make their voices known, or does it have to be virtual on the 19th?
So we have not had a virtual option at our live meetings. So you can do the public comment. The other thing, though, that we will have in place on the 19th is that if we reach maximum capacity in council chambers, what we'll do is we'll basically kind of have a line, a queue that would go outside if necessary, and that will rotate people in. People need to understand, though, that potentially they'll be able to come in and make comments, and then they'd have to leave. But one thing that we've done is we've set up a speaker outside so that anyone that's outside can hear what's going on inside.
395-1450. If you have a comment for Holland City Manager Keith Van Beek, will be happy to take it. Good morning. You're on the line with the city manager.
I just want to let you know that he's not coming in clear.
Okay. And
his voice is not, it's doubled.
It's a little bit of a computer thing, and I know that Keith has had some issues with the computer in terms of our connections in the past, so we'll try to get that fixed. Thank you.
All right.
395-1450. Computer glitches, sometimes it has, but we're going to try the best we can in this situation. That's all right. That's all right. Again, sometimes it's a situation we have no control over. And the reason why, and getting back to the point here, Keith, the reason why I'm sort of focusing a lot on this particular issue is because when we get to the 19th, it is going to be pretty much I don't want to say a defining issue for the city, but one issue that is going to be a hallmark for this particular city and how they move forward.
Yeah, certainly it's been much debated. But again, without stating anything other than the way that city attorney and I approached it is we're really mirroring what already exists in federal and state law, not only on protections against discrimination, but also preserving, protections under the Constitution.
395-1450. Good morning. You're on the air with the city manager, Keith Van Beek.
Hey, yeah, I was just wondering. I don't know if this is anything that he deals with or not, but why is it on like 16th and 17th Street early in the morning, or pretty much I guess all night, those lights never go to a flashing mode? They stay working normally like all through the night, and but other streets in town go to flashing yellow and flashing red until about 6 o'clock in the morning, and then they change over, and the ones on 16th and 17th don't do that. I was just wondering if there's good reason for that, or if we could get them switched.
All right, hold on a second while Keith answers the question.
Yeah, my guess is you're meaning on River Avenue, I'm going to assume. And yeah, there are some kind of standards that we take a look at as far as how much traffic. And I know that probably at 3 o'clock in the morning, there's not a lot of traffic that goes through those areas. But sometimes on a more traveled thoroughfare like that, the kind of the standard would be you would still have them go through the regular cycles.
I believe there's also lights 16th and Pine and 16th and Van Raalte, and I think those are also are those ones you were talking about then?
Yeah, those are the ones I'm talking about, because the ones on River are the ones that flash.
That do flash.
And yeah, they do flash, but the ones in Van Raalte, which is even the road's not near as busy as River is, and Pine as well, don't necessarily flash. They're just sitting there doing their normal cycle all night. And that's just let me somebody could look into that.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up. We have a traffic committee that's kind of a team of city staffers from public safety and transportation. So we'll put that on their committee and have them take a look at it.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate the call. 395-1450, 395-1450. Keith, that brings up a point and I wanted to bring up, and let's segue to it right now. West 16th Street will become now East 16th Street construction. It's going to be a headache, or shall we say, pack your patience. River and 16th beginning on Saturday, and work on 16th heading east from River is already underway.
Yeah, what's the joke that we all live with in Michigan? There's 2 seasons. It's either winter or construction season, right? So yeah, we certainly recognize that it's that time of year where there's the inconvenience of what we're doing on 16th, and it is going to be more of an inconvenience because we're going to get into River here for a while, so you're going to have more of that interruptions. But we're really excited about the program. We are definitely proceeding east, so you're going to see more information signs out there. And we always put out press releases also that I know that you guys do a great job of covering on HTC, so people know kind of week by week, hey, this is what to expect as you're traveling around town. So thanks for helping us cover that.
Well, we're trying our level best. Good morning. You're on the line with the city manager, Keith Van Beek.
Well, good morning. First of all, Keith, thank you for your great leadership of the city. My question has, and I know this has come up, and it's an irritation, the railroad tracks by the market there. I think it's probably 7th and Pine right by.
Exactly.
Who's responsible for that? I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah, I think I have a funny feeling, Keith, that's another issue involving the kitty cat, and the kitty cat's not being very nice right now.
Well, so with the railroad, I get basically three areas of complaint. One, that they don't take care of the crossings and they're bumpy, and that one is horrible to the caller. I couldn't agree more. It's just terrible, right? And then I get complaints that they block traffic for too long. And then I got one this morning that when they came through town last night, they must have really laid on the horn longer than normal at 2 o'clock in the morning. Unfortunately, all of that kind of relates back to the same frustrating issue, is that CSX almost kind of operates without any oversight and certainly without taking advice or begs or pleads from the city of Holland. So we do the best we can, but it's really hard to get them to come out and take care of their crossings. And we're not allowed to go in there and do anything ourselves. So it's a constant struggle. One of these days, I'm going to drive down to Jacksonville, Florida, and pitch a tent, on their front yard until they come out and talk to me and get these items fixed.
Well, thanks for the explanation. I appreciate it.
I appreciate the call.
Sorry I couldn't do more. It's frustrating, I know.
Thanks for the call. 395-1450, 395-1450. I've been meaning to maybe bring this up with Bill Heisinger, the congressman, because railroads are a federal matter. And if the kitty cat's going to do something that's Chesapeake and Ohio, the Chessie line, that's why I call it the kitty cat. If they're going to do anything, it's going to have to be through some federal pressure. Would be nice if they were around town, but we're dealing with an entity, as you said, in Jacksonville, Florida. 395-1450, 395-1450. Last night, a digester was approved, and I'm not talking about anything that we're going to need the Rolaids on. Tell us about that there, Keith.
Yeah, I hope the public kind of knows that this conversation has been going on for a couple years. But we approved actually an anaerobic digester for our water reclamation facility, better known as, how we're reclaiming everything that comes through the system, right, Gary? So
yeah, right around the corner here,
Exactly. So right here, kind of on the edge of downtown, we have that water reclamation facility that serves not only the city of Holland, but also the surrounding townships. And what we were experiencing over a number of years is that the costs to handle the solids that still remain at the end of that process were just going up astronomically. So the BPW staff and the board went through a very thorough process of taking a look at a variety of options. And last night, council took the final step to approve bonding in the amount of $33.7 million. And it's basically going to, we're going to be constructing a egg-shaped anaerobic digester on that site there. For people that are interested in all the details or even kind of the renderings of what that will look like, you can go to the City of Holland site and you can take a look at our meeting agenda packet, and you can see some of the information of what that will look like. But we really think it's a great long-term decision that we're making, and it's certainly economical. It's going to help keep our rates low, but the staff did fantastic work in fitting that into a downtown environment, and it's really great for the environment also, where we're capturing that methane gas, and I think it's going to cut down on the odors in the downtown area also. So
that was what I was going to ask you about, Keith, and cut down on those odors, because sometimes you get the northwest winds, and we get it.
Absolutely. So, probably arguably maybe the only kind of drawback is it's going to be a big structure, right? But we're even taking a look at that as being an opportunity to educate the public and have some opportunities for school kids to understand how we take advantage of things and turn a challenge into an opportunity. So it is a long construction process where you'll probably, I don't think people will notice it yet. Later this fall, October is when we expect construction to get started. But it's going to be a 3-year complete construction process. So we're excited about it, but only nerds, like us government nerds, get excited about something like building an anaerobic digester, right?
We might be getting excited to try to cut down on smells. That I think that's more of a general excitement about that.
Yeah, your offices are close by to that, aren't they?
Yeah, we know about that. And if you want to try to do something about the land a little south of us here on Central Avenue, that will help as well. One final thing, and then we'll button up our conversation, Keith. Any entity, be it private or public, you want to be able to freshen up your look from time to time. And over the years, we've seen the signs, "Welcome to Holland," change and evolve. Even street signs are a little bit different now than they were a few years ago. So probably that was the case for getting the new signs for some of the parks for Holland.
Yeah, I would imagine that the listening audience out there has probably noticed as they drive around town that our parks and some of our other locations are getting new signs. They have all the new logos on them and everything. And we're also noticing a lot of the signs were kind of running parallel to some of the streets. So you would see the sign when you were kind of right on top of it, and we're running them perpendicular now. So you'll see those out there. I know there's always different opinions on, tastes and styles and all those types of things, but we think they're going to stand out, and they match kind of the theme that we've had also on the wayfinding signs that we had in the downtown area and everything else. So we've got a nice, crisp, common theme. So we're excited about that, and I'm sure that people will be noticing that as they drive around town.
I'm not going to get any personal opinions here, but I think the way Holland has its signage, very discreet but very noticeable, a little bit better than another community I have been talking about, GT, the place to be, a little bit more ostentatious, I'm afraid, with some of their signages as well and some of their big things. But we'll get to that another time. City Manager Keith Van Beek of the City of Holland, thank you very much for joining us today on WHTC's Talk of the Town. And as always, appreciate it time and look forward to chatting with you again next month. Thank you, Keith.
Thanks, Gary.
And that is Keith Van Beek on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.